welcome to Terp Keeps Bees. I am wearing my astronaut suit today because I'm going to be doing a hive inspection. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to video and do that at the same time, but we'll see what happens. Maybe something cool. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to smoke the hive. So this is a bee smoker. It's basically a little can of fire, and you pump the bellows and smoke comes out. And this is just a polite way of telling the bees we're coming in. What's happening is they think stuff is on fire, and they go and gorge themselves on honey in case they have to move. So it calms them down because they're full of honey, and when they're engorged with honey, it makes them hard to sting you. So, yep. We're going to let them think stuff is on fire for a minute. Once they go in and get all calm, we'll start taking it apart. This is really beautiful. You can see capped and uncapped honey. Uncapped honey is honey that hasn't had enough water evaporated out of it yet. So once enough water evaporates, they'll cap it. And you can see them ripping open the caps and eating the honey, which is what we incite when we smoke them. They think they might have to move, so they're eating all the nutrients they can in case they have to. But this is a deep frame that's just full of capped honey and uncapped honey on both sides. This is in their second brood box, which means they're doing really well. So that's great. The view down into the hive. You can see the side of a frame. And down in this corner is a bunch of burr comb that they've made that I'm going to have to scrape off. Bees like to make their comb in weird shapes that makes it inconvenient for beekeepers to do the work they need to do. So as much as I hate to do it, I'm going to have to scrape all that out. But they'll be fine. They'll make more. These guys look like they're doing great so far. The frame has food and brood in it, so that means the queen's made it up to the second box. There's also eggs in the empty ones, which means she's good. She's laying eggs in the last 3 days. She's probably somewhere on this frame. And the outer edges, you can see the white caps. That's food. This is a good brood pattern. That's usually how this goes. There's like a concentric middle section of brood, and then eggs, and then food. So these guys are doing really well. We're looking out for these guys right here. This is a small hive beetle. It's one of the problems in American beekeeping up there with varroa mites. I just gooshed that guy, but I'm also ordering more traps because I think the one I have isn't really working. They eat honeycomb and then lay eggs, and their eggs go down into the ground and come back up, and they just leave slimy trails and everything, and they're bad. They're bad news. So now that I see this guy, I know I need to order more traps. I stopped early because when I got to the bottom box, I got stung in the hand twice, on this finger particularly. It's starting to swell a little bit. And I didn't stop so much because that hurt, but because when they sting, it releases a pheromone that tells the rest of the colony, hey, this is a really great thing to sting. And I didn't want to lose hundreds of bees and possibly have a reaction due to having hundreds of bee stings. 2 is fine, 200 not so good. So I'm going to show you something I found out though that's not great, and it's totally my fault, so you guys can learn from my mistakes. Building your equipment, you put foundation in your frames, and you want it to be nice and smooth and straight up and down. So they build the frame or they build the comb in such a way that you can just lift everything out, which already gets tricky because they have their own ideas about that, but it does make it a lot easier. I did not secure these because I thought I was clever and could just pop them in. And because of that, I think they melted. So they started coming out sideways, and then the bees started building their comb sideways, and that would have made it very difficult to lift these out, and I would have just had to like give up on this whole honey super. So I spent the remainder of my time over there scraping everything out and convincing the bees that this is not a cool place to hang out, and it really sucks, and I feel so bad because they're ready. They're starting to build up here. So I'm going to have to fix these in the next couple days and get it back out there in a way that the foundation won't fall out and they won't have to do this over again. So I'm sorry, bee ladies, but yeah, guys, learn from my mistakes and actually do what the books tell you. Shortcuts do not work. That's totally a thing. Alright, so yeah. Next time we'll talk about some other stuff that's going on. Hopefully I can get back in there again and they won't be so agitated and I can make sure everything's super groovy. But it seems like they're doing well. And see you next time. Bye.